What is up, nerds? Welcome back to episode 53 of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Mr. PP, with my co-host, Justin from Pickleball, etc. Justin, how you been, man? You looking good in that shirt, dude. I like it.
Oh, thanks.
Where'd you get one?
Yeah. You too. Yeah, I just copied you completely.
Wow.
Yeah, you went matchy today. Yeah, I saw that you made some PP shirts, and I got jealous, and I was just like, nothing else to do but copy you completely. So I was like, give me your source.
Love it, dude. That's
give me the supplier. I'll copy it immediately.
I'm glad you did. I like it, man. It's a good look. I like the little blue, etc. It's good, man.
It's a little 3D silicone. It's not quite as off as yours is, not quite as 3D.
Yeah, mine was like pretty like three-dimensional, for lack of a better term. But I actually like this. It's a little more subtle, but still enough texture to be like, oh, that's really nice. So well done, man. Bravo on doing all that R&D.
That's the best R&D, bro. Just find something you know is good and copy it.
Rip it and duplicate. All right, what do we got today, man?
All right, so today we're going to get into some paddles. Let's see. Quantas, Trufoam Waves, the Luzz Cannon, and we're going to talk about the Boomstik a little bit, not necessarily a review, but just some things going on with it. And we will briefly talk about the shoe review that just went live on pickleball.com. Get your thoughts on those shoes as well, because
sneak peek, baby.
Yeah, basically a sneak peek. Because that review is just me rambling forever. So let's see what you think. In net gains, we're going to get into some kind of sports psychology stuff that I've been studying, because I'm a piece of shit and keep underperforming in tournaments. And then we'll do New Week, New Main.
You're my little piece of shit.
New Week, New Main, see what we're playing with. And in NERDTOWN, we're going to talk about floating cores, which is not anything new, but just kind of now that it is sort of everywhere and we're seeing it in a lot of different builds, talk about this, the pros and cons, and, why we see it, in so many new paddles.
All right, shall we jump into some paddles?
Let's do it.
All right, we're just going to touch some paddles. So obviously the Quantas from Ronbus have been released. These are just a really solid performing power paddles for a ridiculous price. $99 after code. These paddles are very they're very good. First of all, they're not, like, in my opinion, elite tier in terms of power. They're not the Boomstiks. They're not quite as powerful and poppy as the Locos, but they are plenty sufficient enough. And for a ridiculously good price at $99, I think these are just going to be a no-brainer recommendation for a lot of people. There are a couple of drawbacks. The feel is not very good. With the TPE inserts, it's a little tingy, but not bad. So don't think it's like, oh, you're gonna pick this up, it's gonna feel like crap. No, it's gonna feel good. It's just gonna not feel quite as good as paddles like the Loco and the Boomstik. But with that kind of less desirable feel, you also do have a less ideal sweet spot. It's not small, but it is not the biggest sweet spot on the market. It's not quite as big as the Locos and Boomstiks. I keep saying those as comparison, but they're built very similarly, and apart from the TP inserts, it's almost the same build. So you kind of losing a couple things. Obviously, this is, Justin, you can probably add to this more, but these are much lighter. So I'm not sure if that's because they're using a lower density foam, or the TP inserts really does drop that much weight. But these are a much more lightweight paddle, and you will need to add weight to these to really maximize their performance. Dropped a full review on these. Probably honestly might be shorter than what I just said right now, but I hit all the points. I didn't go full Justin, But yeah,
you never go full Justin.
Can never do that. What did you think about them? I know I
don't have them.
You didn't play with them. Damn, dude, I forgot about that.
No, I don't have them. So, and I know nothing about the build.
Yeah, I need to send you these.
I would be curious about the foam densities, how many layers in the face, all that stuff. I have played with, what we'll call an extremely similar prototype.
Yeah.
probably from the same factory about 6 months ago, and I did not love it. I was like, yeah, okay, it's got promise, but I've also tried TPE multiple different ways and different iterations of paddles, and I've ultimately moved away from it because I just don't like the feel of what you just said. Even though Ronbus advertises it as vibration dampening, I think that the resonant frequency is actually higher than something like EVA. So it gives more of a high pitch feedback. So that you said tinny or tingy or whatever. That was exactly my feeling of it then. And I was like, eh.
Yeah.
Even if it does have good performance benefits, and then
how
of course
I felt about the Wave, not the Waves, the Genesis, the Trufoam Genesis felt kind of like this strange frequency of vibration that I didn't love. It's a very different feeling than the Quanta, but it's like that. You're not sure what is giving me this different feedback that it's not quite as pleasing.
It's probably the TPE in that one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't played the paddle, but from a development standpoint, I just thought the marketing was interesting since the TPE was marketed as vibration dampening, which we just covered. I think it does the opposite, and adding stability, which I'm almost positive it's lower density than the EVA and definitely than the EPP. So it's lighter. So it wouldn't add stability if you put a lighter material out towards the edges.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I would expect that it would do exactly opposite of what they advertised, which, of course, these have low twist weights, low stock weights, so they're not the most stable things out of the box. I'm not saying it's a bad paddle.
No.
No,
of course not.
I mean, but I think the main selling point for it is the price, right? I mean, it's almost like, do you feel like it is, not that they play the same, do you feel like that it is the Vatic Prism of foam paddles, like from last year? Because think about it, this is what everyone said about the Prism. They were like, it gives you 80 to 90% of the performance at 50% of the price.
Yeah.
And then the difference, like I said, not the playability, because the difference is the Prism's always had great feel.
Right. I would say this gives you 95% of the performance for 50% of the price. The Prisms obviously were like very control oriented. This is a very high performing paddle. It's just not like the elite tiers. So it's just barely under like the Boomstiks, the Locos. Those are the elite of the elite power paddles. In obviously the Flick F1, but the Flick F1 does have a few. Yeah. But
before someone did it, $100,
Yeah.
Like in fact, Vatic was already doing it, and then the V Pro got delayed, and then Rom's just like, whoop, we'll take that spot. So
Yep.
Makes me kind of feel bad for Vatic, but also they definitely made the right choice, and I respect that they delayed the launch based on some of the QC stuff they were seeing. I think that was a good move, and for sure cost them money, but was the right business move. So I can respect that.
I wonder if it would have cost them more to just launch it and have issues arise. I would imagine it would be, But still, obviously, like you said, right choice to do it. The Quantas slid in there. They took that spot. We'll see what is it V Soul is what the next ones are?
Yeah, there's two versions too. I'm pretty sure there's like a floating core version and a non. There's like a V Soul and a V Soul Pro. One's more all court, one's more power, and I think they're coming $99.
Interesting. We should talk about that. So yeah, Quantas are awesome. They really are good paddles. There's just the feel is not perfect. However, if you are looking for a really high performing paddle and you don't want to pay a bunch of money, go for it. They have every shape.
You gotta be okay customizing.
Yes, you have to be okay with putting on some form of weight to stabilize your paddle and make it more performative. So great paddle. Really can't find an easier paddle to recommend at the moment. For the price, obviously. So we'll move on to the new Carbon Trufoam Waves paddle. Now, you got the what? The 2?
4.
4, yeah. So we'll show these off real quick. We can only give just a quick first impression. We can't go in depth. Yeah, they look really cool. I love the new graphics. They just
the blue is like just a nice color.
Carbon's always had really good looking paddles, in my opinion, albeit minimal in the past. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think these are solid paddles in terms of looks. So Why don't you go with your first initial impressions? Real quick, I wanted to say you can. I'll put a link in the description. I think it's available. If not, I'll put it there on the date that it is available, that you can sign up for early access. So you can purchase it 1 day early. You can use promo code Pursuit, which will save you some money. You just get access a day early for the launch. So they said word for word, they said they don't expect these to sell out first day unless something crazy happens. But, you should. But it's probably, if you're looking for sure to get these paddles, err on the side of caution and just sign up for the early access link. So go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, we got to keep it pretty limited for now, based on the embargo. But I'll say, like, I really wanted to like this paddle since before I ever had it, because I even mained the Genesis for a while, if you guys remember. And then everything I had heard about the waves, both publicly and behind the scenes, was like, ooh, this sounds awesome. It was like an improved version of the Genesis, but with a lot more pocketing, a lot more dwell, a lot more spin, and more power. And then I also, well, I can't say it, but there's a spec about it that I was excited about, the change from the Genesis as well. Yeah. And so I went into this like with a little bit of bias inherently, internally, because I wanted to like it so much.
Yeah.
I was even like thinking, man, from everything it sounds like on paper, I'm like, could this be the new main?
Could this be?
And now there's a hybrid shape, they have the hard pallets. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So my first impression was actually just from yeah, well, we're here.
We're here, baby.
My first impression was just from, I did I'm talking maybe 15 minutes of essentially soft game drilling. So we're talking dinks, a few resets, some drops, dinks from both sides. And I was like, ooh, I'm kind of feeling this. I'm like, it feels different, it feels unique, and I was kind of into it. I did have to add weight immediately, like hit a couple balls and was like, hang on a second. So yeah. So I just went and added weight, which is like I added at my normal spot for a hybrid. But after that, I thought it was improved, and I actually quite liked it. And I remember telling you that. And then the next day, I pulled it out and did like a full actual, hour drilling session to include everything, and even like playing skinny singles at the end. And I was disappointed. I was like wanting to love it. I was kind of liking it the first day, and then when I did the full drilling session, I'm like, yeah, this ain't for me. I think that I'm trying to be careful about what I say here, but I just think that it does not perform well in like hard shots. Specifically, if someone's driving at you or anything like that, you really feel kind of a small sweet spot, a little bit of lack of stability, even with weight. And it just, the word that I keep like coming back to is it just feels kind of flimsy. As soon as, any type of pace and heaviness and power is coming at the paddle, it just feels a little flimsy. And it's not
that's not after you added weight too, correct?
Yeah. And that's not confidence inspiring at all. So, that's all I'll say for now. I am going to keep trying it just because, just to see if it changes, to see if I dial it in. I'll try a different weight setup also, and probably need some more weight around the top based on how it was feeling like on harder shots and defending harder shots. But yeah, so I'm a little bummed because I had high expectations, and so far it hasn't lived up to them. I'll say that, but I'll just leave it at that for now. We'll go into more detail later.
Yeah. So I've played with the probably 15 games. Played with the 5 or 6 games, and 1 full drill session, as well as a comparison session between this and the Genesis. I won't compare them just because they've specifically asked you to just keep it at first impressions with this paddle. So I feel bad saying this, but this is one of the most underwhelming releases that I have hit in a very long time. I can't think of a time where I've been this underwhelmed with the paddle. I was expecting definitely a better paddle, an upgrade on the Genesis. This paddle, I've tried it with weight, tried it with tons of weight. I've played extensively with it, and I'm open-minded. I'm open to trying different things and seeing how this plays. But I've played a lot with this paddle, almost 3 whole straight days of playing with just these paddles, and I'm not a fan, if I'm being honest. The sweet spot's very small and unforgiving. You hit the sweet spot, and the reactivity is very, very, very different from when you just miss the sweet spot. And having a very unpredictable face is one of the most frustrating things a paddle can do. Not knowing how much pace you need to put on a ball. And I'm sure, Carbon or people are going to be like, oh, Lewis, you suck at pickleball. That's why you're not good with it. And my response, I would say, well, why don't I feel like that about every paddle? So it's just early thoughts, not very promising. But
yeah,
I'm going to 100% test this more, try different setups. Feel bad, saying this, but it's the truth.
I mean, you got to be honest. Yeah, and
it's just
I think
not
there will be a crowd who will like it.
Yeah.
And this has been said by other people already, but you and I said this to you sort of behind the scenes before anyone else said it publicly, and I just, whenever they said it, I feel like, yeah, I couldn't agree more. If you didn't tell me what was in this paddle, I would have almost guessed it was a Gen 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it feels. So So we'll go more into it later. But I'm not giving up yet. But yeah, I'm also
we can say the release. It's towards the end of September. I think that's the 24th is the early access date.
Don't know.
But I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. But yeah, disappointing first impressions. But they are marketing this as a more powerful Genesis, and I'll just leave it at that. So we'll move on to a paddle that has the polar opposite response, which is the Luzz Cannon. Now, this paddle I was extremely skeptical of. I was like, I kid you not, the team at Luzz has been messaging me and probably every other reviewer for 3 months trying to send us their paddles. And I looked at their website. I was like, it kind of just looks like a clone of the Yolas. And then I was like, heard a friend, Uncle Hui, who lives in New Orleans. He's Pit Pickleball's uncle, but I just call him Uncle Hui because why not? He was talking about how he really liked this paddle. And I was like, okay, if he likes it, I trust his opinion on a lot of paddles. He's like a paddle junkie. And I told him to send me this, and they sent me this in the Inferno. Played with this one, and first thoughts were like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, this is actually really solid. And then the more I played with it, I was like, damn, this paddle is extremely good. But it's not only that it's very high performative, it is $92 after code. Wow. So this I made a full review of. It probably dropped already. If not, it's going to be dropping same day or day after of this. But if it is, I'll put it in the link in the description for you guys to check out. But this is better than the Pro 4 in literally every single way. It's $92. It gets better spin. The power and pop is like marginally higher. And it feels so much better. The sweet spot is so much better. The face reactivity is so much better. And that is very likely due to a floating core. So obviously the X-ray of this, thank you to Matt's Pickleball for sending this and sharing this. Matt's a super nice guy. Can't tell you how many times I've asked him to send me an X-ray, and he just digs in his photos to find it. Super nice. Really appreciate that. But it is a floating core. It's a thicker channel of foam than things like the 11624 Power Series and the Selkirk era. So that in guess theory makes it feel a little bit better across the face. And man, I just like this pedal a lot. Like, it is very good. Only downfall is it only comes in elongated 16 millimeter. So if they had some other shapes, I mean, this could be like one of the best lineups on the market. Another really great thing about this paddle is that it actually is using the full allowable dimensions, whereas the Yola Pro 4 is actually like 16.4 by 7.4. So it's the Perseus, excuse me. Yeah. So it's a little bit longer than the Perseus and just a hair wider. So really, really like this Luzz paddle. I mean, this is legitimately one of the best paddles that I've played with, and one of the best experiences I've had with a paddle in a long time. So
You said
I know
it's a
you
bit
haven't
stiffer.
Yeah, it feels a bit stiffer off of the face contact, but you actually get a little more dwell compared to the Yola Pro 4, unless you hit it like right here on the Pro 4.
Is there fiberglass?
They, on their description and their like paddle layer diagram, there's no mentioning of fiberglass.
Okay.
But there, it feels like there could be something in there. I'd have to dissect it. Maybe I'll send it to you and let you dissect it and see what's going on in there. But a very, very, very good paddle for just a stupid price. $92 after code is crazy. So polypropylene is not dead. Honeycomb polypropylene is not dead yet. As
It
much
won't be
as
for a while.
yeah, it's a different feel and feedback from foam, which a lot of people may prefer. It's more crisp and gives you a better feel and feedback. Not feel, but you get more feedback from your shots. So Luzz has surprised me significantly. Really enjoyed this paddle. So anything you want to add to this before we move on, dude?
Nope.
All right, man.
I'll try it.
Yeah, I'll probably send you over this one. I got a little chip on mine, so had them send me one for the review so I could have a nice, pristine looking one. So thank you, Luzz, for sending those over. Yeah, I'll send that over to you. We're going to talk about the good old shoe review that Justin put on.
Well, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Before we leave paddles, did you want to touch on the Boomstik?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that now. Yeah. So go ahead, Justin. Let me grab mine.
So this is just a quick update, and you guys probably seen this if you're like on a lot of the online portals or whatever for forums and such for pickleball. But the UPA approval, which is for Pro Play, said that the MOI system, these added weights, are not approved. And so the ones that you'll see the pros using won't have the shiny red MOI as of now. Selkirk did put out a statement and said that they are working with UPA to get them approved because, they see it as an external weighting system, the same as tungsten tape or anything else. USAP approval, so for basically every tournament except for Pro Play and MLP, these are approved. So the only people this really affects is people playing Pro Qualies or Pro Play or anything. And it seems kind of silly or petty at first when you first think about it, like, oh, is UPA just trying to get at Selkirk because of the history there and tell them like, oh, well, you can't use this. But then UPA's statement said that the original Boomstik that was sent in for approval testing did not have the MOI on it. So if that's the case, I actually see their point. It's just like, hey, if you wanted to approve it with these on, then we needed to have that version for approval.
Real quick.
Regardless, it may change. There. Go.
As someone who also went to Idaho and spoke with the team at Selkirk for 2 days, do you genuinely believe that they would leave that? That would be an oversight that they missed.
I saw photos of the one sent to UPA. It doesn't have it on.
How is that possible? Like, how can that?
It was probably because, as we know, this MOI system wasn't fully finalized because, I don't know if I'm breaking news here, but the original ones that got tested, like a long time ago, this was movable up and down, which is why you see this line. And then due to multiple things. I don't know if it was because of approval or because they were moving during play or whatever, but Selkirk made the choice to just adhere them in place. Now they're not movable, and they have to be technically removable, right? Otherwise it would make the paddle too wide. But you can absolutely damage your paddle trying to remove them. They're not easy to get off.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is this approval process takes a long time, specifically UPA. My thought is it was probably during that time and Selkirk was still trying to figure it out, and they were like, we'll just send it in.
So they sent it with no weights, not even the movable weights.
That's what the picture looks like.
Got it.
Just a white edge guard.
Crazy. Truly crazy.
So no big deal. So, but like the ones that the pros are going to play with won't have this. They'll just have to add their own tungsten tape. They can recreate this setup if they want. They could change another setup.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, here I'll just say it because someone's going to say it in the comments. Here's the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory version of this. I'm not saying this is true. I'm not saying I believe it. Okay, like you said, we met the Selkirk guys. I think they actually genuinely have like the best interest of the sport. They're not trying to get over on anybody.
Yeah.
Or at least it doesn't seem that way. Okay, but I'll just say it because I think it's funny. And again, I'm not trying to spread it or say this is likely. But the tinfoil hat theory is that they know that with 15 grams of weight, it will test higher on the PB core and therefore fail, right? Supposedly. This is the theory. And since Selkirk has their own testing, they also know that if you take it off, it tests lower. So they send it in without the weights to get the lower score to pass testing and then add the weights later as sort of a loophole because it's removable weight, same as tungsten tape or something.
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah, you got to put it on. But yeah, and sort of to speak to the other thing about the Boomstik that people are reporting a lot is, and then we saw some Facebook activity about this yesterday, is like loose edge guards. Look, here's mine. Right where the MOI is. And I didn't try to pull this off, by the way, but my edge guard's like totally loose. I don't want to pull it too much because it will pop off. But this happened on both of mine, both the elongated and the wide body. And
mine's still
I do
hanging
think it's
really
probably
well.
the extra stress. Because I'm a bad player, I probably hit this with the ball a few times, and having this extra kind of weighted piece puts a little bit more stress on the edge guard.
Yeah.
But mine's only loose on one side right now, and I'm not messing with it too much. I could get a little syringe and inject some glue under there if I wanted. I'm not complaining. I just I know it's a thing people are talking about. There was a message circulating on Facebook yesterday where someone who bought this sent in a request about a warranty or something or a replacement because their edge guard was loose. And then a Selkirk representative emailed them back and said, a loose edge guard doesn't affect performance. And I guess denied them a replacement. And then that person put that email screenshot on blast on Facebook, and there were a bunch of comments. And
yeah.
So
I would be shocked if they did not get a replacement for that paddle. It is literally the definition of a manufacturing defect. Having,
it's not enough adhesive.
Yeah, exactly. So, interesting news from Selkirk and the UPA with these weights. I mean, I did not know that they sent in a non-weighted version for approval. That's kind of crazy to not send a finalized.
I mean, we don't know the reason of why that happened, but given that that's the photo that's shown and that's the reason that UPA-A stated publicly, I think that their case makes sense. It's like you sent in this version for approval. This is the version that's approved, not a version with additional parts.
Now let's go with, we'll leave the Selkirk UPA thing. Do you think that this is kind of a silly rule, to go after the MOI, but not like lead tape and tungsten tape? I mean, obviously the MOI is denser and harder material. So if it, in theory, it could fall off and hit somebody, it could cause damage, but...
Yeah, it's like the same thing with the metal bone screws. They will approve the metal bone, but without the screws, and you can't use the screws, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing. They're like, we'll approve the Selkirk in the same vein. Mm-hmm. You can't have your removable weights on there because they may fly off. Yeah. They're obviously not flying off. Like if one of those MOIs is flying, trust me, people have tried to remove him.
Tried so hard to remove his. It was like, he was like, it took a long. Dustin from PB Med, by the way. Who's kind of the king of dissection right now. Dude said it was very challenging to pull those off.
They are not flying off. If they're flying off, your paddle is more than broken. Probably the entire edge guard is flying off,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like I'm not taking a stance either way, but
Yeah.
maybe smart from Selkirk because look, they've been able to approve a paddle now that technically is over dimensions. Like these are wider,
Yeah.
and all the paddles in the past have been measured from the widest point. But since these are considered semi-permanent, then they aren't measured for the
Hmm.
overall width
Yeah.
and length of the paddle. So I think they did something interesting here with the MOI. I think there is, takes either way. People say, don't add this. We want to customize our own. Now it's high stock weight. But I also get that it does add a ton
Yeah.
of performance. And the key here is that they could have easily put this weight on the inside,
Yeah.
but they put it on the outside because it's visible tech. Visible tech in any industry is strong marketing. So of course that's why they did it. And I'm sure it was like I was saying before, maybe their plan was that they would be movable, and then they were like, we're pretty deep in the process, and we got to make a turn here. They're no longer going to be movable, but they kept them on the outside because it's visible
Yeah.
tech, it's marketing, it's part of the, draw of this paddle. So I don't know. I applaud them for doing something different and unique, but at the same time, it's like, other brands are like, hey, how come their paddle gets to be wider?
Hmm.
So.
Well, all you little whiners who are whining about the MOI system not being movable or it being on there and not giving you the ability to customize, your wish might have just gotten granted. So,
I don't know if they'll sell that UPA
yeah,
non-MOI version or if that'll just be for their pros only, that they'll just
we
provide
shall
it.
see. Yeah, it would be insane not to sell it because they would want people to be able to use theirs that aren't sponsored players, and pro qualifiers and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm sure that
Yeah.
they'll have like a back channel for any sponsored player
Oh, I mean, not
or
sponsored.
anyone.
Like, that's a popular paddle. Like BK pickleball. He
Yeah.
uses the Boomstik now. Yeah, he's not
Well, Isaac
sponsored.
does too and all the PPA stuff,
Yeah,
and he's not sponsored.
yeah,
And would he want one without the MOI? Maybe. I don't know.
probably. Yeah, why not? He's already got one with it. Why not have another one just to see how it compares?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've dragged on this a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Lots of nuances to it. But yeah, we'll move on. Unless you want to say anything else.
Nope.
Nope. All right, let's do it. Shoe review. Justin dropped a shoe review. It was how long was it? 15 minutes? You cut it
15.
down?
I cut it down to
15, baby.
15. Okay. The first take was 27 minutes or something crazy.
Yeah.
I had to literally re-record it. This is in the review. I dissect the shoes, go into the details. But yeah, Skechers Viper Court Pro 2. It's posted now. Post the link in the description. It is
Yeah.
not on the Pickleball Pursuit channel, so don't look for it there. It is in collaboration with pickleball.com. So it's on pickleball.com's YouTube channel.
Yep.
But in that review, it was just me rambling, and we both got the shoes. So we wanted to give a little sneak peek on the podcast and get Lewis's thoughts on the shoes.
If you want to watch Justin's lengthy take on the shoes, go watch the review. All jokes aside, it was a very in-depth review and all pertinent information. But I'll give my nerd view, like I always do, of these shoes. These are the Selkirk Viper Court Pro 2.0. Skechers. Skechers Viper Court Pro 2.0. We were just talking about the Boomstik. I'm stuck on Selkirk. But these paddles, Jesus, dude, I'm struggling.
This is why I did the review.
are really solid. Like, I was not expecting these to be this good. Probably closer to a speed shoe. You are going to probably hate these if you have a wide foot. Quite a narrow toe box. If you have a wide foot, like a gigantic foot, you might want to try the Gel Res X, which were probably one of the worst
your feet
feeling
are
shoes
shaped
I've
like
ever.
a duck's feet, and they get really wide at the front, but they're skinny at the back. Gel Res X, they got you.
Maybe the worst shoe I've ever put on. In terms of fit.
Rough.
In terms of fit. But anyway, these Skechers are super solid, really comfortable. That was one of the most, obvious characteristics about this shoe is how comfortable it was. Justin kind of alluded to the tongue not being gusseted, which leads it to kind of go from one side to the other, depending on how your foot's shaped, probably mostly to the outside. That didn't really bother me too much. Maybe my foot shape's just a little bit more ideal for non-gusseted tongues. But overall, I thought this was a very high performing paddle shoe. Feels very comfortable. Very. It seems also like it's gonna be pretty durable. Like I was impressed with
Yeah.
how little
Yeah.
wear is on this shoe. I played like a good 4 sessions with this.
I played like
Maybe
20
more.
hours on mine.
Yeah,
And
I've probably
the durability looks really good.
I've probably done 12 hours on this, and there's not much that has changed with these shoes. They look solid, almost brand new. So really like these. They are not, in my opinion, the best looking shoe, but for
Well, this colorway is at least reasonable.
105.
Yeah, 104 after the code. It's like 103.80 something. But yeah, and you didn't really even touch on the best part. I mean, I know we're kind of going into fall, but I would say like the highlight of the shoe is it's like extremely breathable. So if you're someone who like runs hot and gets sweaty feet, this thing is just like air just blows through it. You can if it's like cool outside, you literally feel the air as you're like running. You feel it on your feet. So
yeah,
very breathable, very durable, quite comfortable, and the traction's great.
Yeah,
those are the high points.
And it blows through, man. Everybody loves that. All right, 104 is the price. You can use our affiliate link when purchasing at Pickleball Central. So if you want to go check out the full review and watch somebody not stumble over their words and call shoes paddles 4 times, I would highly advise go checking out Justin's review.
That was fun. We're going to do more shoe reviews in collaboration with pickleball.com, trying to kind of work out what shoe we're going to do next. But I actually look forward to it. And my goal is 10 minutes, all right? 15 is a bit long. Yeah. And I also talked a bit slow. It was dense, okay? So
it's your first
we're going to get him to 10. We're going to get him to 10 minutes.
It was better than my first review. I look like
honestly, NERDTOWN lovers will like it, I feel like, because it was pretty in-depth. But I think it was a little bit much. So
it is like it's the perfect video to fall asleep to. All right. We're going to move on to we're going to quickly touch on the differences between 0.5 gram, 1 gram, even 1.5 gram per inch tungsten tape, and even those 3 grams of the lead.
Or tungsten. Little pods.
Yeah. So there is a massive difference in how these densities affect your paddle and why you would use them. Real quickly, Justin, why don't you got your NF right there?
Yeah.
You have the 0.5 grams per inch on that. And the reason why I want you to talk about that first is because that's a very stable, very forgiving paddle out the box. And it only needs a small amount of weight to, change its playing performance to match your needs. And Justin, you did it for a very specific reason, which is why you chose the 0.5 grams per inch. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
So for those listening, I'm holding up the J2NF long handle. I have 0.5 gram per inch from just below the bottom corners, I guess, like kind of mid-throat, and it's 4 grams total of it, runs all the way to just before the top corner. So it basically covers the entire side and then just around the cheeks there. But on a lot of my paddles, I actually do use the 3 gram pods, and I kind of, they're usually on the sides or the lower sides, depending on the paddle. But for this one, you alluded to it, it was already quite stable. So I didn't need a ton more like twist weight stability. So I didn't need a lot of weight. And what I actually wanted was a little bit higher static weight. Of course, a touch higher stability, I'm never going to complain about. And the main thing here is I wanted to raise the balance point a little bit. So if I had used the 3 gram pod or 1 gram per inch, then, it would only be around the bottom corner and it wouldn't extend further up the paddle, which the balance point is about here. So that essentially wouldn't change the balance point. Since I wanted the same amount of weight, but I wanted to raise the balance point, I used the 0.5 gram. So now if the balance point's here, I have all this weight on both sides above the balance point. So I raised the balance point. So this is the application in which I normally use the less dense tape if I'm trying to change the balance. If it's like kind of a headlight paddle and I want to make it a little bit more head heavy, I'll run it high up the corners, or even sometimes I'll do like a 4 corner setup and have some around here. But I don't like a ton of weight around the head, so I like the lower density tape For me, it's pretty simple. Like if I need weight higher up, I want to use lower density tape for the top half. But if I feel like a paddle needs weight from the half of the face down, then I end up using the higher density and just keeping it down there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Obviously, the more dense the weighting is, the heavier it's going to be, clearly. But then it's going to affect the balance point pretty significantly,
And swing
depending
weight.
on how much inches you're using.
Yeah.
Balance point and swing weight. So on the opposite of the end of the spectrum is the 1.5 grams per inch and the 3 gram lead/tungsten pods. This 1.5 grams per inch tungsten tape is from Pickleball Effect. Pickleball Effect, in my personal opinion, has the best thickness of their tungsten tape, so it's more ideal for people, especially putting it on their throat, who have two-handed backhands. Less likely to kind of annoy you with feeling the edges of the tape. So really, really solid stuff here from him. But the reason why you would want to use the denser tape is for paddles where you have a kind of a lower stock weight and you don't want to wrap the sides of the paddle or go all the way up to the top of the paddle, and you want to really hyper localize the way that you are adding stability to this paddle. So a good example of that would be the C45, which this is 1.5 grams per inch tape. I think it's 4 inches, maybe 5 inches if I'm not mistaken. Super light paddle out the box, so adding static weight is going to help this paddle be more stable and forgiving, but also adding it in a very localized place is going to keep the swing weight lower while raising the twist weight and forgiveness of the paddle. So that's why I chose the 1.5 grams per inch. And then the 1 gram per inch would probably just be kind of your in-between paddles. I use it specifically for my J2NF and almost every paddle, honestly. I hardly ever use the 0.5 grams per inch tape anymore, just because I usually like kind of hyper-localized spots to just add stability. Every now and then I'll add some weight to the tip of the top corners of the paddle, but not a very common theme. So
Yeah.
those are kind of the weights and densities of tungsten and lead tape. Is there anything else that I forgot to mention as to why you'd use one density over the other?
No, I think that's it. And we talked about this last week about our NFs because we have different setups, that it's just a preference thing. Like, and we talked about balance point, I say last week, 2 weeks ago in NERDTOWN. I think that my preference is for a bit of a higher balance point than yours. So like you're saying, you're using the denser tape lower on the paddle. For me, I added the same amount of weight as you. I just wanted it higher up. So I used the less dense tape, which allowed it to go higher. But yeah, sort of my loose rule of thumb is top half of the paddle face, I'm going to use a less dense tape so I don't increase the swing weight, unless that's what you're going for. That's normally not what I'm going for. Lower half of the face, I'm normally using more dense. Like my old Flare Prime X setup, I used to have 1 gram per inch on the bottom corners and half gram per inch on the top corners.
Yep, same.
And I think that was like
and the
perfect.
Vatic Saga fly,
The bloom. It was oh yeah, the bloom. Yeah.
It was the bloom.
Yep.
So yeah, that's just kind of something we've been talking about. Chris and I have also been talking about that as well, via text here and there. So we're going to move on to everyone's favorite segment, New Week, New Main, sponsored by Bodie Pickleball. If you're looking for tungsten tape, you're looking for sleeves, bags, towels, apparel, and now socks, baby. Grippy socks. If you just got out of the loony bin and you need your grippy socks, you're running out. These are the ones to get, baby. You can use code Pursuit to save 15% at checkout when purchasing anything at BodiePickleball.com. We love Bodie. Thank you for being the sponsor of New Week, New Main. Justin, have you worn the socks yet?
Yeah. So, and I'll show the socks real quick. There are like variations. There's short, like kind of no show, and crew, and there is black and white, and there is grippy and non-grippy. And there's variations of all those. The reason why you see me only showing the grippy is, number one, that's more interesting. But number two, the non-grippy ones are dirty. because I've been wearing them. In fact, just for the podcast, here's a feet pic, baby.
Oh my gosh, dude, we're gonna have to charge for this episode.
But yeah, I don't like the grippy ones. So this is a personal preference thing, okay?
Yeah.
So I actually played with Bodie last week in Dallas, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. He's really funny and just fun to play with.
Yeah.
And let it be known that don't try any funky off-speed stuff at him, because he is just ready, dude. He's like more ready for the weird off-speed stuff than anyone I've ever seen ever. Like,
damn.
I have like a off-speed high backhand roll that I hit at people. It catches them off guard all the time. Like half the time they leave it thinking it's going out and it just falls in.
Yeah.
Or it just catches them off guard. Not him, dude. He was murdering it every time. Damn. So don't give him any off-speed.
Rate Bodie's game.
Oh, he hits like some of the hardest returns I've ever seen. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
He like slaps a return. And he's got a good serve, and he's got tweeners. He hit a backside of the paddle face like this ATP, like James Ignatowicz style. So he's got the flash. He's got the flash. Yeah.
Shit.
So it was a ton of fun. But back to the socks, I was actually talking to him about it because he was wearing the grippy ones at the time, and he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, I don't like them, because to me, I can actually feel the little like Bodie Pickleball logo grips on there. And I was like, ew, it just feels weird under my foot. Maybe I could probably get used to it, but I'm just so used to not having it. What?
I'm not going to say it.
just leave it. Just leave it.
Yeah, just keep on going.
Anyway, so he was saying that he actually doesn't feel them once he gets the shoes on and goes. Yeah. So I think that's where we differ. Mm-hmm. That said, I have been wearing these around the house quite a bit because I have concrete floors, so it's kind of nice. I'm wearing them loony bin style, like you said.
That's right, baby.
And then the other catch is I wear those Currex insoles, which have the grips already on the insole, so my foot isn't really sliding around. Yeah, but yeah, they're nice. They have like sort of a breathable, stretchy fabric on top. They got like the arch compression, and then they have like light to medium padding around the bottom. So like a solid sock. It's not a crappy sock by any means. They like sourced good materials. Oh, yeah. And if you like grippy socks, then they're nice.
Yeah, they're legit. You'll probably see the best performance from them after like the first or second wash. I've noticed with almost every sock, like a new sock is like kind of slick and slidey. It takes a little while for like them to feel like they're, kind of like gripping onto your foot, especially the grip socks. So just keep that in mind. If at first you're like, you wear them straight out of the box and you're like, these aren't doing as much. Like I feel them sliding on my feet. Probably just need to, get the manufacturing residue, if you will. Probably not even what it is or the technical term, but that's something I've noticed with socks. So solid stuff. We're gonna move on, dude. What is your main?
Oh, well, dude, listen.
What's your main?
I got a main, and we always talk about mains like a relationship. I'm not gonna say that this is like the best, most healthy relationship right now, but I feel like there's nothing better.
Are you resentful?
So,
are you looking for something
long
better?
Handle. What I will say is you just can't fault the performance of this paddle. Like it just does everything. It just does everything well. Period. There's like no drawbacks, and the shape is excellent. I love the shape. Yeah. This handle is perfect. I mean, like I'm testing other paddles, and then I go back to it, and every time I go back to it, I go to hit a two-hander, and I'm like, like that feels nice.
I usually moan. I usually just.
That's what. Yeah. Okay. Well, to each a peach,
If you guys ever play with me, I'm a moaner.
On the pickleball court.
That's not what I meant. Oh boy. All right. Sorry guys.
Anyway. Yeah. So all that said is you can't fault the performance. However, the reason why maybe not the most happy in this relationship right now, I just don't love the feel, Like it's not bad. This is a preference thing, but dude, like my preferences have changed. I want something that feels a little bit more softer and more like pocketing. The NF is simultaneously dead and reactive. It's very interesting. because
Yeah,
it's
it's a
like the
unique feel
foam
for sure.
core is kind of absorbs a lot of vibration, so it's kind of a dead feeling. But then the fiberglass is very like reactive and can give you that pop feel, especially on harder shots.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, and I can definitely play well with it. It doesn't like bother me, but it does leave me wanting a little bit something different, and that's just my preference.
Yeah,
so I still got my eyes open. I'm flirting around. Of course, the
You pulling
ideal
that wedding
candidate.
ring off every now and then, you know.
Yeah. The ideal candidate is the J2 FC Plus long handle, since I love the shape. I do not have that paddle though, so.
Jam, where's it?
And
Where's it at, bro? We're ready for it.
I think it's going to
We're
be
ready
a
for
while. I feel like because it
Damn.
seems like they were like back ordered and stuff. I'm just have to order one and just wait. But there's always new stuff coming out.
Oh yeah,
and there's some exciting things. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I played with. That's what I play with whenever I want to play my best. I mean, like I said, you can't fault the performance. It's an excellent paddle.
Well,
What about you?
I am currently. I got my wifey here, you know, and
The NF long handle? Is
yeah,
that what that is?
got my side chick right here, which is the Luzz. Oh gosh, the Luzz cannon. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am genuinely in love with this Luzz cannon. Like one of the best experiences I've had with a paddle in a long time. So I am probably like 85% certain that the NF probably is still going to be the paddle that I pick up if I go play a game. But I need to test these side by side because I've actually been playing extremely good pickleball with this Luzz cannon. Was playing against one of our favorite guys, Jeff Lee, and Cherry Yee, who are both basically 5-0 players. And I was playing exceptionally well with the cannon against them. So they still beat my ass, but you know, it'd be like that. Cherry's a dog. So we're going to just say I'm currently on the market, but also if anybody asks, I'm taken. So J2NF probably is still the main. Luzz cannon could be it, dude. It might be the one. Could be the one.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. I've turned into an elongated boy. I don't know what is going on. Who knows? But all right, dude. You want to tell us about all of your fragile mentality on the court for net gains?
Neck gains.
I'm not saying I'm not mentally fragile on the court either. So don't get this twisted, guys. I'm not picking up.
Well, okay. Yeah, we are going to talk about like some sports psychology stuff and something that I'm self-diagnosing. But I wouldn't call it like fragility, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, it's quite the opposite. I have that white man confidence, you know. I just be going for too much all the time, just thinking, just thinking way too highly of myself. Every single tournament I go in, you're like, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm about to win.
Yeah.
And then I'll go 0-3.
Y'all, every single tournament
game.
Justin and I have ever played. And this is, we're talking up until the recent one, which is for, to paint a picture, we've gotten smacked in almost every tournament we've ever played.
Except the one that we got silver in, but yeah.
We'll win a game, but we'll get smacked a lot. And every single time I'm like, Justin, how you feeling? He's like, I'm feeling good. I think we got this. We're gonna do great. I'm ready. Always. I love it. Honestly,
it's true. It's unshakable. I just have that. It's totally irrational confidence.
Yeah.
No reason for me to be that confident, especially not if you look at my track record. But ask me for a tournament, I feel great.
I feel great.
I feel like I'm about to win
kick some ass, baby.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyway, so I've been kind of self-diagnosing my problem, and I have realized what it is, and I also realized that it's very much a me thing. It's not even pickleball specific. I had this same type of issue when I was playing basketball more competitively, and even like going all the way down to all games, even down to like video games. I have this same kind of innate default persona whenever I'm competing in games. And what that is I am going for too much, and then people might call it like hero ball or whatever. I'm always just, and it's not too crazy, but I'm always just stretching myself a little too much. And when I'm doing that, I'm lowering my percentage. And then of course, playing low percentage, performance is bad. That's how you lose. Right.
Yeah.
And then we talked about this quote, and there was a sports psychologist who studied like top athletes in a bunch of different sports. And the quote was that the top athletes don't win by doing extraordinary things. They win by doing ordinary things extraordinarily consistently.
Mhm.
I just butchered the quote, but you get the idea,
You
right?
killed it, dude. That was amazing.
And another way to put it is that there's a gap between what you can do sometimes and what you can do consistently under pressure.
Yeah.
And I tend to kind of default. I'm not even thinking about this when it's happening, but I tend to go for the things that I can do sometimes, right? Like, so to put that in pickleball perspective, I'm in a cross court dink battle. Yeah, they pop it up a little bit, right? So it's probably an attackable ball, but not one that you have to attack. Me, I'm attacking it because I'm going to try to hit like this pretty hard, awesome flick. And the reason why I feel like I do that is because I can do that sometimes. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
40% of the time, I'm hitting a badass shot and maybe even winning the rally. 60% of the time, it's going into the net. You know what I mean?
We need to make a hypercut of every backhand finish that you try to hit that goes in the net. We could probably find 20 on film, minimum.
Oh, yeah. And then we could probably find 20 me flicking backhands into the net, and we can probably find 15 me hitting awesome backhand finishes that look cool,
Yeah.
right? And so my stupid monkey brain remembers the 15 times that I hit an awesome shot and forgets the 20 times. That's that white man confidence.
Yeah, bro.
And just go for it, So
You forget your
all that to
failures, man. It's
say,
in the past.
yeah, exactly. It can be good, but
Yeah.
it's like this. It's like I said, it's like an inherent habit, pattern of mine that I'm like constantly just going for a little too much because I can sometimes, right? And another way to put it is like I'm always trying to hit the best shot, not necessarily the right shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is me just saying the same thing like 3 or 4 different times. And I was reading about this different things, and there's even a book by Nick Saban, the college football coach, and he talks about winning ugly and about how like after the game, after the championship, what people remember and what people actually care about is who won and who lost, and you have to be willing to win ugly, and that a lot of people prefer to just lose pretty, maybe you hit 3 amazing backhand flick winners, but then you also made 5 stupid backhand flick errors, and then those lose you the game, right?
Yeah.
So
it's not even like
that's
you
where
are
I'm at.
fine with losing. It's just that is your current like state of like go to. This is your go to shot.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to my coach here because I didn't really tell him all of this, but he kind of identified some of this stuff on his own and told me that like he was like, what you need to do is become extremely confident playing boring. He was like, you just need to be like willing to just grind it out with anyone at any time. And that means like maybe not taking the attackable ball and just dinking it back and being like, you want to keep dinking, that's fine, because I'll just out dink you. And he was like that. He said that me over attacking might come from some level of court insecurity, because I feel like, if the point's going to keep going, like I might not win. So it's like, I have an opportunity, I must take it, And he was saying that he thinks about how just bored Ben Johns looks sometimes, but he just continues to win because he will just grind it out,
Yeah.
And he was saying that, that essentially I need to train that. Just play super boring and just see how much you actually win when you do that. And then you will gain a level of confidence on the court, and a level of security. Be like, if we just need to grind it out, or I don't need to attack this ball because I'll just get another one, or you'll miss a dink or whatever. So that's where I'm at. And then that's what he said. And then also another thing that I got from a sports psychologist was training restraint. And this is used in a lot of sports, and it's extremely similar to what he just said. And basically the advice was pick a session and go out and choose to basically try not to hit winners unless it's extremely obvious. Obviously, you're not going to not hit a winner on a high ball, but just try to see how many points can you gain from your opponent's errors. Your goal in every rally is to keep playing until your opponent makes an error or they hit a winner. If they do, good on them. They earned that, right? But see how many points you can earn from their errors and actually choose to pass on attacking opportunities or trying to hit winners, not because that's how you play in a tournament, but because you are training yourself to see and understand those opportunities, and you're training your restraint so then you can make better choices on when to attack and when not to attack, because sometimes not attacking is the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
So there I am, dude. Still on my journey, still a trash player, but my physical execution has honestly gotten a lot better. And I feel like at my level, which people are bad and will make a lot of errors, they will give you a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
If I could up my mental game and start hitting the right shots most of the time, not just trying to always hit the best shot, I think that'd be good for me. Net gains. Maybe
Net
some of you can
gains.
relate.
Justin, the unfortunate truth is we could be 5-5 and we'd still be trash. So we're just always going to live in that. We're too trash. So great net gains. I was tearing up there a little bit. No, but all right. Well, man, you talked a lot. You ready to talk some more?
Oh.
NERDTOWN, baby. Take a deep breath. You can do
Owala.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, this will actually be quick. I think this will be shorter.
Yeah.
Choo-choo!
I'll kind of give I'll give you
tee me
lay the
up.
path down for you, baby. Tee you up. So floating cores have been a huge trend that we've seen in some of the highest performing paddles on the market. The Boomstik, the Loco, the Quantas, the Luzz Cannon. So we're seeing floating cores be utilized more and more, and we're seeing awesome paddles from that because of this, this core design. And I personally think it's, in my opinion, probably my favorite layup. I'm not a huge fan of layup,
core configuration.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of just obviously your typical Gen 2, but more importantly, like the propulsion core, the U-shape foam that we see with the C45, and the C45 actually did pretty good with it, but the Yolas, for whatever reason, just feel ultra, bad in terms of their face reactivity. So having that foam channel continue down towards the neck of the paddle and then even complete to a floating core has been something that I found a lot of enjoyment with, and feel like the performance characteristics are very high. So Justin, why don't you talk about what is the key difference with floating cores and why we're seeing them, perform so highly?
Yeah, so just to further define, like I'm holding up a Boomstik right now. When you say floating, you mean usually EVA. It's a low density foam that is around the entire perimeter, and a lot of the time completely connects. So it's a total ring. Now, I personally think that whether it connects at the throat here or whether it just follows all the way down and stops, and the core material, whether that's honeycomb or EPP, goes into the handle, that's only a minor difference, and I think both of those are equally performative. But we're talking about versus, like you said, foam that maybe only goes to halfway down the paddle, like a horseshoe.
Yeah. NF and Boomstik are two paddles that one is completely floating, which is the Boomstik, and the NF just stops right at the throat.
Yeah, and the core material goes through. Or the other option, obviously, is like no perimeter foam. So, and this is going back. This isn't like a full foam paddle only thing. This is going back to Gen 3 when we were using honeycomb, right? Like, or like a Gen 2 paddle has just the outer carbon seam expanding foam, which is different, right? That's not like the low density EVA that gives movement. But then you saw Gen 3s, the Diola that has this, and then the 11.624s where it's still honeycomb in the middle, but it's a complete ring of EVA around it. And then that is a floating core honeycomb. But now we're seeing floating core with also a foam inner core. And that's been like kind of the top performing paddles at the time, at this time. And the honeycomb ones are still very good. You just talked about the Luzz. There's the Selkirk era. There's the 11.624s. There's probably others I'm forgetting. They're very good. So it's not like honeycomb is trash or it's out, but the full foam has potential to offer a little bit more performance if done right, I think.
Yeah.
So the opposite is like what we've been calling like a full slab core in foam. So think about the blue core, the 008, the Trufoam in a way. where it's just one homogeneous foam, like the whole way, the entire core and handle. There's nothing around, right? The Trufoam obviously has holes, but it's still one core. And um, the performance difference, I think, is vast. Let's just say the 008 and the blue core,
Yeah.
one total slab of EPP. And then you take something like the Boomstik or the Loco or the J2FC Plus at the simplest version, where now it's the same EPP, but you add EVA around and you essentially float the core. This gives you usually more power and a bigger sweet spot and a more dampened feel. And the reasons for all those things are fairly simple once you kind of see it in action. The vibration dampening is really simple. It's just because EVA, lower density, it kills a lot of the high frequency vibrations. So when you add a good chunk of EVA in the paddle, especially the ones that go through the throat and separate from the handle, you are killing a lot of the vibrations, the high frequency vibrations, before they make it to your hand. So they get more dampened feeling. The reason that it's more power is because of what we all know, we can call it like the trampoline effect, right? This EVA is springy and also low density, so it allows the core to like move in and come back, and give back a little. So that's like the trampoline effect. So you get more power from that. And then the reason why I think the sweet spot, or maybe we'll call it like the face consistency, is better. And the NF is the prime example of this. Like, dude, I can't tell you how many balls that I barely get a paddle on and it's bad contact. I'm just trying to reset, or it's a hands battle, and maybe I'm hitting it way down in the corner or up in the corner, and it just still goes back over, right?
Yeah.
It's because like the consistency of the power across the face is so good. Like the drop off from the center to the side is honestly very little compared to most paddles.
Yeah.
And that has to do with this design. I mean, the Loco is a similar way. And I'm pretty sure the reason for that is like you now have a picture of my hand. Like this is the EPP part. And this is pretty solid. There's a little give, but it's pretty solid. But having the EVA around it as something that allows this to kind of move left and right, up and down, in and out as a unit, like depending where the ball hits. So if the ball hits like over here on the side where my thumb is, well, then now this whole piece of EPP in the middle gets to flex. The EPP or EVA on this side is going to flex more, and it gets to kind of deform and move as a unit and give a similar amount of power back to the ball. So it can feel very consistent. And that's a bigger sweet spot, right? If you say more power return, more consistent feeling, then you've just described a larger sweet spot. Yeah. So those are the reasons I think that floating cores are definitely here to stay. I think that, what we learned from Gen 3 and the various iterations of Gen 3 have now carried over into foam, whether you want to call that a new gen or not. But that concept of lower density foam around the outside and floating the core and having a more solid piece as the inner core and the ball contact area is smart, and it works really well. So
yeah, I agree. I really have been preferring, like I said at the beginning of this segment, the floating cores and the NF's almost floating core. So definitely has been pretty valid in their performance increase, and is a big reason why they've been all highly sought after and highly reviewed paddles. I mean, I can't think of a floating core paddle that has not received a glowing review. 11624 Power Series, when they came out, people were loving those. They're like, oh, this is the amazing, and it's only 152 or whatever. And then the Eras came out like, oh, these are really good. Very similar to the 11624, but maybe just a slightly different feel that most people will like. And then the NS came out and everybody was like, holy crap. And then Loco, Boomstik, and, name a few. So just really good paddles overall. Definitely like where they are going in terms of that construction method. So interested to see what the next thing is. Only just
I'm trying to figure out. Well, we'll see. I got some irons in the fire, iterations on floating cores, and trying to see like where do you take it next, because it's a pretty good design. So how do you improve upon it? That's very fun though.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see almost every single paddle going forward having some iteration of a floating core or edge foam channels? Or
I wouldn't
foam
say every
channels,
single
not-
paddle, but I think this is kind of the spirit of the question. I think you will see almost every single brand with their next performance release are probably going in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. This episode is sponsored by Pickleball, etc. He paid approximately $- for this.
I paid you a shirt and 4 lifetime balls, though.
Yeah, baby. That's right. I've been playing with them balls, baby. So, all right. Well, we're going to land this plane, dude. That's everything. It was like we had almost nothing to talk about and still talked for over an hour. I think
Just
that's
missed each other,
we're just the
we haven't
best,
talked
yeah.
in 2 weeks.
You know, what's funny? I was thinking in the middle of this, like, gosh, I'm over here smiling and giggling and just having a great time with my wife. It's amazing. What a time to be alive. All right, guys. This is episode 53 of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, with PP, here with my co-host, Justin, from Pickleball, etc. Until the next one, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, topics that you'd like for us to cover, please put those in the comment section down below. We'll see you in episode 54. Peace.